I think this is the first time that Thunderbird 4 has gone down that deep, and that shows the engineering ingenuity by Brains for her to be able to withstand that kind of pressure. But not from the mechanic. And by extension, the destruction of Thunderbird 4 marks the first time that a Thunderbird is destroyed on film outside of the comics. If some of you recall the comic story where Brains is assumingly dead, and the Hood unleashes an all-out assault on Tracy Island, and Thunderbirds 2 and 3 are destroyed in the process. This also shows that this series is not messing around with the darker elements. Couldn't help but notice the nod to Iron Man with Gordon Tracy in his aqua exosuit. The truth is, he is Gordon Tracy. To have the mechanic give the Surveyor craft the tools to look for TV-21, which is a nod to the comic book series that followed the works of many of Gerry Anderson's work from Stingray to Thunderbirds and Captain Scarlet, is clever. How better to do it than to have a research team look for it without suspicion for you. That said, we now know that TV-21 was a prototype to Thunderbird 1 and looks very similar to Fireball XL5. Thanks for noticing that, Carolyn. And the Surveyor craft has design elements from the Sidewinder, which that vehicle first showed up in Pit of Peril, which also marked the first appearances of the Mole and the recovery vehicles in the original series. The idea that the enemy knowing your every move is clever, as Lady Penelope discovers, because that then presents the protagonist with the challenge of how do we best equip ourselves to block him out. Also, I think everyone geeked out by seeing the original International Rescue hat, along with a throwback to the 60s theme when Gordon entered the cockpit. Thank you, Henry Pearson, for noticing that. And Gordon taking the mick out of themselves by saying, "I can't believe we used to wear these," it just shows that the writers have a decent sense of humour. So, you know, I will give them credit for that. And the Mysteron rings were present at the very start of the episode as the Surveyor is going through the trench. David Menken and Rasmus Hardiker sold their performances and then some, with Gordon showing his resilience to the mechanic while you can hear the emotional tone in Scott's voice as he reminisced over the supposed demise of the TV-21. Weta Workshop and Milk VFX did a fine job once more as the underwater detail at that depth gave it a very lunar feel. When you consider at that depth there is no sunlight whatsoever, it gives it a very uninhabitable environment. Knowing that there is plenty at stake in the next part, with Thunderbird 4 having to be rebuilt, reacquiring the TV-21 from the mechanic tells us we're in for a wild ride. Plenty of Easter eggs, a decent story, and knowing that there is a conclusion to this part next week, Thunderbirds are indeed go.